What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV. And as a wise man once said, once you see light at the end of the tunnel, there's always an oncoming train. And definitely a big oncoming train today, as we're all gearing up for the return of Mohammed Kudus this weekend. We were saying yesterday, you know, he's only been doing individual training away from the team. We were thinking, is he going to be back this weekend? Maybe the Brighton game. It's all gone to shit, people. It has all gone to shit. The news was first broken by ITK on X, SZY Priv, saying that Mohammed Kudus is unlikely to play again this season. A scan has revealed the injury is worse than first thought, and he is now likely to undergo surgery. Jake Sanders and Tom Barkley both saying that they understand Tottenham forward Mohammed Kudus has suffered a fresh injury blow, with fears he could require surgery, putting his World Cup hopes in serious doubt. Alistair Gold has confirmed the story as well, saying he's had a recurrence in his quad injury that has kept him out for the past 3 months. It's just absolutely devastating news. And De Zerbi hasn't even got his first game yet, and he's already got his first injury setback. And it's just like one thing after another in terms of injuries with Tottenham Hotspur. You just can't write this stuff. This guy, Mohammed Kudus, before he joined Spurs, hadn't been injured for 2.5 years. And now he is currently on his longest ever injury in his career. Like, you just can't write this stuff. Like, how is this even happening? Like, this medical team need to have a serious look at, like, how are they still doing this? Every single time.
How many players now have had 6 month plus injuries in the last couple years? About 5 or 6 players. It's an utterly ridiculous amount of serious long-term injuries this club is getting. Obviously, this one right now in the situation that we're in is an absolute disaster. It puts probably the club in crisis mode. Cast your mind back a week ago.
Are we already in crisis mode?
Obviously, we're in crisis mode already, but cast your mind back a week ago. De Zerbi gets appointed. All of a sudden, there's a little bit of hope coming into the camp. He gets appointed. The energy, there's a bit of a lift in the mood around Tottenham. You've got the thought of, next game, potentially Bentancur, Kudus coming back from injury as well. All of a sudden, the team doesn't look so decimated. All of a sudden, you think, okay, 7 games to go. Can De Zerbi instill something in this team? Could we get out of this situation that we're in? Does he have the players come back from injury to do it as well? And to have this a few days before his first game, playing Kudus, who we all kind of pinned our hopes on him coming back and providing that little bit of quality in the attack, which we just haven't had for so long, ever since Mohammed Kudus has been injured in January as well. This news must hit like a ton of bricks, to be honest, to the face. It's absolute disaster. We were so reliant on Mohammed Kudus for so long for the majority of the season, in the first half of the season, when we were really struggling kind of for any of the forward players making an impact on the pitch. Mohammed Kudus is the only one kind of stepping up for the team, kind of standing up to be counted a bit, taking responsibility in attack. And obviously it was a massive blow when we lost him in January. We all thought we were going to replace him. That never happened, which turned out to be a major misstep and brainless thinking from the hierarchy or whoever the decision makers were to not sign a right winger in January. And now we're in a situation where we thought he was going to be back for this run-in, so we thought, okay, he's going to be back for this, so it's not going to be too bad. As long as we can get him back, maybe we can get a little bit of quality in that front line to get us out of the situation. So the fact that he's now going to be missing for the rest of the season, it's like we're not going to get any. There's no one dropping down from a parachute to save us here. There's like nothing coming. Obviously, we got De Zerbi, which is fantastic, but he needs some sort of tools to play with, doesn't he? And we thought Kudus was going to be perfect for him because of how he, plays his wingers, how we've seen Matoma play and other wingers play for him, his previous sides. You thought, okay, Kudus is going to be absolutely perfect for that. So the fact that he's missing now for these last 7 games, looks like for sure, is absolute disaster. And I don't know what we do. Obviously, we've been dealing with this for the last 3 months, but the reality is we haven't been dealing with it well. We haven't won a game. So it's all right to say, like, this is nothing new because this has been the situation for the last 3 months. But the reality is we thought we were getting him back now, and we haven't won a game since Kudus has been injured, have we? So the fact that we're now going to have to play out the rest of the season and somehow find a solution here, I mean, I don't know what solution we find. I'm obviously if anyone could find a solution, you do kind of back to Zerbi to do it, rather than Frank or Igor, because they just weren't able to do it. Obviously, they resorted to playing the likes of Gallagher out wide or whoever else, Spence even. They've been playing on the wing. I wonder what De Zerbi does. But this news is an absolute disaster. And it just, every time, as you said at the beginning, every time you think there's a little bit of hope, there's a little bit of a lift in the mood, there's always something just around the corner to bring it down. And it's almost like the football gods have really punished us for that decision to sell Brendan Johnson on the first day of January.
It was an absolutely horrific decision to sell Brendan Johnson without bringing anyone in. And I was hearing from, Spurs fans saying, oh, it's good, get the money in now. He's a player that wasn't good for us, and, he's not exactly what we need, and Thomas Frank didn't favour him, and he wasn't getting too many minutes anyway. But regardless of all that is absolute rubbish, because he's a man that can help us in a situation. Yeah, he might not be good enough, but he's better than absolutely no one. And that's what we've got right now. We've got no right winger in the squad right now. Odegaard did his ACL. He's going to be out till well into next season. Kudus now, we're not going to see him for the rest of the season. So Brendan Johnson would have been very, very valuable to us.
Decky ain't coming back anytime soon.
And in the last 3 months, Brendan Johnson would have seen a hell of a lot of minutes. So that decision to sell Brendan Johnson and not replace him is just unfathomable, man, how they can do something like that.
And we said it at the time, it's not like this is hindsight talking.
Yeah.
We said it at the time. If, even before the deal was confirmed, we said, if this is an opportunistic sale just because there's money on the table and we haven't got anyone lined up, this is a disaster. This is an absolute disaster. You only sell him in the situation that we're in if there's a deal in place for someone else to replace him. You don't go putting us in the situation that we're in January, and the form was getting worse and worse, and we were getting closer and closer to the relegation zone. You don't put that whole situation, you don't add more jeopardy in it on a whim just because there's a bit of money there to be had. I understand, and it's very, very true, that Tottenham have been very bad at selling players. So when an opportunity to sell a player that we didn't really want here, and Brendan Johnson came about, I understand the temptation to take the money because we need to get better at getting players off the books that we don't really want. But this situation is a very specific situation. We have been in the last 2 years, but hopefully not every year we're going to be in this situation. We are right now, where with 13 players injured, where the form is hurtling towards relegation, and we're very, very short on numbers. And we have no other wingers in the squad. So in that situation, to basically add more fuel to the fire, make the situation even worse without a plan in place to rectify it, was utter madness, actually. It was madness.
But it's not selling Brendan Johnson that was the biggest issue here. The biggest issue is he was ending the window with no one else to replace him. Mm-hmm. There were players there available. Oscar Bob was available. He ended up going to Fulham. Ryan was available. He ended up going to Bournemouth. Someone in the comments just mentioned Akalush as well. He was heavily linked with Spurs at the time.
Didn't want to pay the money.
Didn't want to pay the money. So, there were players available for us. It's not like we're in this January, had January such a hard month through, there was no one available. There were players available. So, selling Brendan Johnson, yeah, fine, sell him. But you've got to replace him. If you don't replace him, then you can't sell him. Especially in the situation that we're in, and Kudus gets injured literally the day after we sell Brendan Johnson.
Which makes it even worse that we didn't sign anyone, because they knew Kudus was injured, and they knew he was injured for at least 3 months.
Yeah.
And now it turns out to be even worse than that. Worse. How many times, by the way, have we heard the term worse than first feared? Surely we hear that term more than any other fan base in the Premier League.
Seems like every injury at this point.
Every injury is bloody worse than first feared. What is it with these doctors and this medical staff with the original diagnosis? They can't give a realistic timeline for these injuries. It always seems as though they're getting it wrong every time. Every single time they've put a timeline, they get it wrong. I understand. I'm not a professional physician or whatever, so I understand it must be difficult to diagnose players with extreme accuracy in terms of how long they're going to be out for with an injury, and I'm sure there are a lot of different kind of things that go into making a diagnosis like that. But I understand if maybe one or two, you can kind of forgive a medical staff when it's like 1 or 2 incidences where, even over like a 3 or 4 year period where they're getting it wrong and it's a lot longer than they think. But it seems to be a consistent pattern here. a consistent pattern that every injury that we come about, whether that seems to be 1 or 2 months or whatever, and then once 1 or 2 months comes about, it's a lot longer than we thought. And it's, there's a lot. How many players as well where it seems to be like an something where it's a constant like delaying of recovering from an injury, and like every week they're like saying, yeah, he's close, and then all of a sudden we're like 6 months later, and it's like all of a sudden they actually didn't know at the original time how bad it was. Like Solanke, every time it was like, yeah, another week, and all of a sudden we're sitting here 6 months later, he hadn't returned yet.
It goes all the way back to Lamella. Lamella was like that as well.
I know, but it's hard to put that on the current medical staff because I think a lot of it's changed.
Well, it's just like, it just feels like we're cursed at this point. This football club is cursed. Like, it's not just with this current medical team. We've seen it with injuries in the past as well. Like, it's just happened so many times.
We were sitting in the block next to a lot of the senior kind of board members in the Forest game, and we saw Jeff Scott there, the former head of medical at Tottenham. I do wonder, was he there because he's coming? Is he going to be returning soon? Who knows if conversations are going to be had there? Because there needs to be. We know that.
Well, he was there when Igor Tudor was the manager at that point.
You're a good point. But
who knows?
But it seems as though as well, every 6 months we're hearing about a massive shake-up of the medical team. That can't be good as well. Constantly shaking up the medical team, and all of a sudden every medical team has different ways of operating. And what does that cause? That cause problems, and all of a sudden they need time to bed in their way or whatever. But then again, if a medical team is failing, you have to change it if it keeps causing the problems that we're having. But we're in this current cycle with that as well. It seems that every year or every 6 months we're hearing about a shake-up in the medical team. And I think changing it every 6 months is probably not a good thing as well. So I don't know what the problem is. I think we're the only probably fan base who constantly bang on about our own medical team and talking about sack the medical team. I mean, it's a bit ridiculous. I don't like talking about it because I don't know much about it, so I don't want to act like I'm an expert about medical physicians and how they operate. So I don't want to sit here and say they should go, they should be sacked, they're not doing their job properly, because I've got no idea what circumstances they're under. But at the end of the day, what we do know is there is a consistent pattern at the club of definitely saying injuries are worse than first feared and massive injury crisis. There is a constant pattern here, and how do we rectify that? I don't know. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Look, I think what you said before about De Zerbi being able to manoeuvre this situation, I do have more faith in him as opposed to a Thomas Frank, as opposed to an Igor Tudor. He plays the way that we want to see, and hopefully he can find a solution. But in terms of looking to what that solution is, it's hard to see what it is, because look, now we know Kudus is probably out for the season. Decky we're probably not going to see this season. Odebear we're definitely not going to see this season. Brennan Johnson obviously was sold in January, so that's 4 right wingers that we had at the start of the season that we don't have right now. We should never be in a situation like this where an injury and you just don't have anyone in that position. It's just nuts.
Farcical.
It's just nuts. So when you're looking at the options of who can actually play there come this weekend and for the foreseeable, you've got Muani, who's played there a couple of times this season. In terms of senior players, he seems like the only kind of guy.
Yeah, unless you want to shunt Tell out there and maybe put Muani on the left, or who else do we have to play on the left? I mean, you could put Javi on the left and maybe Bergvall or Gallagher up further forward in the centre. If you wanted to play Tell on the right, but Tell hasn't played on the right really all season. He did a few shifts there last season, but this season I don't remember too many times he's played on the right.
Under Igor, we played Porro there a couple of times. Unless you want to go down to the youth, go to like a Tynan Thompson.
Williams Barnett,
someone like that. So
Spence, could Spence be a makeshift right winger further forward? Obviously we've played Gallagher there, haven't we? But that's been an absolute disaster. I don't think De Zerbi's going to want Gallagher there. I think he would rather play someone like Spence, because I think maybe if we go with the back, maybe he just goes with wing backs and just forgets the whole winger situation altogether. Maybe he does that.
I think he could very well do that. 3-5-2.
Yeah, and I remember he played when Lamptey was there. He played him as a wing back quite a lot, and he was quite good under Zerbi for a short period before he got injured. So maybe does he see Spence as like a Lamptey kind of player? But then where does that leave Porro? Maybe he's another right centre back potentially, which we gave Tudor shit for doing. But maybe Look, I think maybe under Zerbi it could be a bit different, because if he plays right centre back and he inverts into midfield, like I think De Zerbi's going to want it, maybe it could work. Yeah, I mean, does he play Porro there? Yeah, as you say, Tudor played Porro there. Does he think maybe play Spencer right back and Porro? I reckon De Zerbi might prefer Porro a bit deeper and Spence using his pace to go a bit further forward with pace. I think that's how he'd prefer it. That's kind of my inkling, like play Porro a bit like how he did Pascal Gross in that kind of way of playing, and then Spence a bit further forward using his pace into the space. But in terms of attacking options, I think if he is going to go 4-2-3-1, he probably ends up going Moani there, because I think he has played like Welbeck or out wide on occasion, and that's not been a terrible option. And we know Moani can kind of do a job out there. I mean, I haven't been that impressed with him, but maybe under De Zerbi, with a few more options with him, he could, he won't be so kind of anonymous like he has been potentially out wide. I think that's probably the solution he'll go with.
I think he is going to go 3-5-2 and just change up the formation. I think he'll know the wing options are. I mean, Tellez our only natural winger in the squad. We've only got one winger for 2 spots, plus you need to rotate as well during the course of 7 games. So I think he'll go without wingers. I really believe that. I think he's going to go where we've got our most fit players, and that's wing back, central midfield.
Well, you could even go 3-4-3, and I think Moani's probably a bit more suited to playing
potentially
in a front 3 rather than a 4-2-3-1 out
But I think
wide.
if you look at the 3-5-2, we got enough midfielders, we got enough wing backs, we got enough strikers.
It's true.
So
And centre back
just on that basis alone, in the striker situation, you've got Tell who can play up front. You've got Solanke, you've got Richarlison, you've got Moani, you've got 4 strikers there potentially. So I think just ditch the wingers until we get some fit. So basically till the end of the season.
Yeah. So do you think this Kudus injury could force him into playing a 3 at the back now?
Yeah, I really think it would.
Yeah, and we know that when he was at Brighton, that's how he did start his first 4 games or 5 games. He did start playing 3 at the back, and then we know he didn't win them, and then he changed it to a 4 at the back and ended up turning the form around. And so I do wonder whether he looks at this squad and goes 3 at the back. I think that probably is the most logical solution. What we do know about De Zerbi is he is a manager who will definitely think outside the box. He's not afraid to put players in unfamiliar positions if he believes that they could do a very good job in those positions. As we've said, we've seen Pascal Gross and Caicedo at fullback, and everyone would say that isn't their strongest position, and that's not the position they should be playing in. Yet he's not afraid to put them there. He's not. I've seen him play a 3-4-3 with Solly March and Trossard as wing backs. So I've seen him go really aggressive with 2 wingers on either side. I've seen him play a pivot of Pascal Gross and Billy Gilmore. When you look at that situation, you think there's no physicality there. How are they going to cope? Yet they win games like that. So he is not afraid to step outside the box or the comfort zone of some players. If he sees something in a player, he believes he can do a certain job somewhere else. He's not afraid to do that. So I do wonder who that would be in the squad, but I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if there are some surprises. Expect the unexpected, put it that way, with some of his selection, I think.
Is there a solution of potentially in a couple of weeks' time, if Maddison is back fit, to shove Maddison out there?
On the wing, I think he'd more likely...
Because he's played on the wing before.
I think he'd more likely play Xavi there and put Maddison inside.
Because Maddison has played on the wing before.
Not on the right. He's played on the left before. I've never really been that impressed with him. I think Xavi would probably be a better fit for the wing than Maddison, in my opinion. I think he's more of a... Well, I guess Maddison's pretty good at dribbling, but I don't think Maddison's good at dribbling into space. I think same with Xavi, to be honest, but I think Xavi's maybe a bit better than Maddison. I think Maddison, again, he's much better in those tight spaces, manoeuvring there than he is when he's got loads of space to run into, because he's never really going to beat anyone for pace out on the wing. Whereas Xavi, I mean, he's not really either, but I think he's got a better shot than Maddison, especially when recovering from this injury. So I don't think Maddison would go on the wing. But then again, just similar to when Eriksen was at Spurs and he kind of played on occasion under Poch, on that half right-hand space role. When we had Dele Son at the centre and left, and Eriksen would be off the right, but he would never be a winger, would he? He'd kind of be playing... I think Gross did that role.
Centre-right.
Yeah, centre-right. Gross did that role a bit for Brighton. So I definitely could see Maddison doing that role.
Yeah, in like a 3-4-3 kind of, with the two inside 10s of being Javi and Maddison.
Yeah.
I could see that working for sure.
I could see that working, yeah. But we don't know when Maddison's back exactly.
Yeah. But I'm not saying it's an immediate solution, but it could be a solution at some point from now to the end of the season.
Yeah, for sure. So definitely, maybe the back three. You got... I mean, could Spence... I think Spence could only really do it wing back. I wouldn't want him in a 4-2-3-1. But then again, I mean, maybe he could. Maybe if you just get Spence to run into space, he's very quick, he's strong. You just
can beat
don't
overcomplicate
it for him. Just get him running on. Just get him running onto things. Get him running in behind. Train him in a certain way, and get him just whipping balls across the face of goal. Don't make it overcomplicated. Don't give him the ball to feet too much and ask him to take too many people on. Just try and simplify his game, and maybe it could work. You've seen it with some players. They're just quick, and all you ask them to do is run in a straight line, and because they're that quick, it can be a problem.
I wonder if we could do like an emergency callback for Jan Min-hyuk or something. Like, he is literally not in any squad for Coventry.
Yeah.
So like, why not? Surely there's a deal that could be done there.
If it's possible. I mean,
like, we all know he's probably not good enough, but he's better than nobody. Like, he's not getting a minute in the Championship, so who's to say he can come to the Premier League and make an impact? But at least he's an option.
I'm not against it.
Like, they clearly don't want him. So why can't there be a deal to be done there?
I'm not against it. It's up to the club if they think it's the right thing. But you can't really say it's hampering his development.
That's what I'm saying. It's hampering his development, him staying there.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm in favour of it. I don't think he'll get much game time here, but I'm in favour of it.
I'll just give him for someone just as an option. You know, even if he just doesn't start, as an option off the bench, against tired legs in the last 10 minutes, he could actually have an impact.
I do wonder if we will turn to one of the youngsters. Will they get an opportunity? Obviously, we've seen...
The only one, really, that's a winger that could have... that's an out-and-out winger that can have an impact, I think, is Tynan Thompson. He's the only one, and he is more of a left winger, but he's just come off the back of an injury as well. He's had his first appearance 5 days ago against West Ham under-21s, played an hour. So he's off the back of an injury. So maybe he's one that can come in. It's just him and Williams Barnett.
Yeah.
That's the only ones. So, look, this is just not the news we needed right now. Literally 3 days before De Zerbi's first game.
Welcome to Tottenham, De Zerbi.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. It's a welcome to Tottenham. You got to expect a lot more of this. But it's just really frustrating. I do trust that De Zerbi can potentially find some solutions or better solutions than what Igor Tudor did and what Frank did. However, don't get away from the fact that it's a massive blow for us. It is a massive blow. So we've got to wait and see. Wait and see what De Zerbi says in the press conference and wait and see how it all plays out on Sunday. Yep.
Disaster. There's always a disaster just around the corner when it comes to Tottenham Hotspur. And here we are again. We are again.
Yep. Let's go and see how the internet has been reacting to this. And I'm sure a lot of Spurs fans are in complete meltdown. Spurs Zone says something has to change at Tottenham. Medical facilities, no injury for 2.5 years for Kudus, and then moves to Spurs and has been injured for half the season.
And how many times have we seen this? Solanke didn't get injured at all. He played all 38 games the season before.
Yeah.
Come to Tottenham. Within the first game, he's injured. And then in January, he got a 3-month injury. And this season, he was out for 6 months.
He's barely played this season.
People forget. He only came back in, February? Like, that was ridiculous. We didn't even know what was going on there.
Yeah.
That was another one we were like, oh, he's going to be back, he's going to be back.
People were suggesting he's had a drugs ban and all that.
Bro, all crazy nonsense. We were losing our minds over it, this fan base, all the conspiracy theories about Solanke. Like, how many players... Like, we've signed quite a few players now with quite good injury records. Even Gallagher. Didn't he come with not a single injury and missed the game for an injury as soon as he came? Like, the whole thing is
Moani as well.
Moani never had an injury, and he got... I mean, to be fair, he broke his jaw, but then he picked up another injury, didn't he?
Yep.
There's something clearly very wrong with how we operate. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the personnel per se or just the way we function, but there's something clearly wrong. I mean, is it just complete bad luck? Is it just a curse? Is there something in the air at Tottenham?
There's got to be more to
control?
it than just bad luck. There just has to be more to it, because this isn't. We saw a massive injury crisis last season, a massive injury crisis this season. It's just like non-stop. There's got to be more to it than just bad luck. I'm sorry,
so?
it's got to be. Alice Talks Footy says, the fact Tottenham sold Johnson, knew Kudus had a long-term injury, but decided to sign another workhorse 8 in Gallagher instead of a right winger, then followed by Lange claiming it's better to wait till the summer to do business, is exactly why Tottenham are in the mess that they're in. I won't laugh if Tottenham get relegated, because it just shows what incompetent owners can do to a big club. And that's absolutely spot on, isn't it? Absolutely
getting sympathy
spot on.
from United fans now.
Yeah, she's pretty much a Tottenham fan.
Yeah, she's fully coys. We all know it. But yeah, I think she's absolutely spot on. I think we all said at the time, like, yeah, fine, sign Gallagher. Like, I'm not exactly against it, but like, he is nowhere near a priority right now. Like, he should be right down the list. He's the only player in the squad where we have depth in that position. So getting Gallagher in isn't going to change much for Tottenham. As much as fine, he's a good player and you can sign him, but he ain't going to change much. And what's it proven? It's proven exactly that. And at the end of the day, fine, you got money for Johnson, but the January window, if you wanted to sign a replacement, it was always going to probably come at a cost of overpaying for someone, because that's what happens in January.
What's good money if you've got no options on the pitch?
Yeah.
What good is it? It's doing nothing for us having this 35 billion in the bank.
Exactly, because if you sell a player in January and you want to replace him, you're going to have to overspend. Like, Akaluch probably was going to be more expensive in January than he was if we went for him last summer. And I think we bulked to what? I think they wanted 50 million or something. We said no. Or we wanted, we only wanted to spend 45 and they wanted like 65. And we were like, no, we're not going there. Yeah, and if we go to then January when we're desperate, because we just sold Johnson and whatever, they're probably going to put the price up. So that's, it's all well and good, like selling because there's money to be get for Johnson, but you have to also reconcile the fact if you're going to replace him, you're going to have to overspend.
Look, like I said, there were plenty of options of that price figure on the market. How much did Ryan go to Bournemouth for? 35 million? Mm-hmm. Get him in. How much did Oscar Bob go for? 35 million? Go get him in.
Also, we could, if we were that desperate, you could have got Wilson for cheap, probably. Like 20 million.
Yeah.
When he's 6 months out with his deal. Matoma had 18 months. Could you just blown them out of the water with a really good bid?
So I'm not having this. There are no options in January. I'm not having it whatsoever, because other teams were able to get wingers in. So why can't we? We're supposed to be, have all this money to splash out, and we were supposed to take our wage bill over to the next level and all this stuff. You're saying, oh, it's better to wait for the summer, but put our season in jeopardy. Makes no sense. Mr. Black says, this season is the opposite of a gift that keeps on giving.
Or Billy T.
Oh, I'll go to Billy T after one, but yeah, this
No,
is...
Mr. Black, it's not. It's definitely not the gift that keeps on giving. It's like the shit that keeps on shitting. That's what it's like.
It's the arse that keeps on shitting. It's the gift that keeps on giving to everyone else.
Yeah,
that's true.
Absolutely.
Billy T says, Kudus got injured the first game in January. The game after selling our only other right winger. Anyone involved in the January transfer window should never be allowed to work in football again. Will definitely not be allowed to work at Tottenham again, that's for sure, because this January transfer window, I think, was worse than when we never signed anyone in the whole of a summer window. I'm not even joking.
Absolutely. The negligence of this, at least at that point, whatever you want to say, at least we knew we had a good team, and we actually did up getting to a Champions League final and finishing fourth. So as much as I think we're still reaping from the cost of not signing even now probably players in that window. At least it wasn't as bad a decision as basically putting the club's future on the line here, which we have done by not signing anyone significant in this current January window. So the difference is stark, in my opinion. That was the worst window in history, considering the situation.
Yeah, like, it's just mad. You can't even fathom it. Like, any normal club, go get a right winger. Whether it be on loan, whether you have to overspend, it doesn't matter. Your Premier League status is at jeopardy, and they're just like, you know what? It's better to wait till the summer. Like, how? Like, who even thinks like that?
He's like patting himself on the back, how proud he is. Yeah, we didn't panic. We did such a good job not signing anyone and waiting till the summer because no one was available. What a good job we did. Oh, idiot.
It's madness. It's like at the best of times, you're like, all right, it's best not to panic. All right, fine, don't panic. But there are times where you need to panic. And they showed the time that they need to panic when they brought in De Zerbi. You know, they could panic in that situation. But January was a time to majorly panic.
You know, the last time we were in a similar situation to this, back in 2008, under Harry Redknapp, obviously we started that season 2.8 games.
Yeah.
He came in, turned it around. But then, if people forget, come January, the format actually turned badly again, and we were getting closer to that relegation zone again. I think we might have been in it at the time because we were in the relegation zone for a while that season before we had a real upturn in form.
It was very early days though in the season.
No, but in January we had something like 3 points from 8 games as well. We had really bad form that January. My point being is that January we signed Defoe for 15 million. We signed Robbie Keane back from Liverpool. We signed Chimbonda. We signed Carlo Cudicini, right? And obviously Wilson Palacios from Wigan. I think apart from Defoe, none of those players were there beyond 18 months. They all ended up leaving quite quickly. My point is we did panic in that window, but we got enough players in for the short term just to get us out of the shit and dragged us to 8th for that season, and we ended up kicking on from there. I think the next season, I don't think any of those players, apart from Defoe, made a real impact in our run to go to the top 4. I think Chimbonda was gone after 6 months. Cudicini was our number 2. Robbie Keane was gone after about a year. Like, all those players were not long-term signings, but they weren't there because it was a great strategy to sign them, to build on. We signed them because we were in deep trouble and we just needed experience. We needed players to come in and sort us out.
I don't think those players had much of an impact, did they, that season?
They did. I mean, Palacios did.
Robbie Keane had that one game against Burnley, wasn't it?
No, but I'm saying that in the 6 months before, to get us out of the trouble, he was okay. He wasn't great, but he was all right. He was much better than he was the next season. Defoe was good. Chimbonda was pretty average. Cudicini was okay for a bit, but they just helped us. They got experience. They just created a better environment within the squad as well.
Probably underestimated what those kind of guys
Palacios
did behind the scenes.
Yeah. Palacios obviously made him an impact, but then again, he was gone after like 18 months, Palacios, despite being good for a bit.
Palacios was the one, I think, that made the major difference on the pitch.
Yeah. But again, he was good for about a couple of years, and then we ended up getting rid of him. My point being is they weren't part of a long-term strategy. That was part of us panicking because of the situation we were in, and it got us out of it. And we needed to do something like that.
How do they not know the phrase, desperate times call for desperate measures? Mm-hmm. And in January, we're in desperate times.
Yeah.
Desperate times. And they don't get anyone in the positions that we need. It's just madness. Next up, Alex Butts 96 says, good job we sold Johnson and didn't stress purchase though.
Yeah, great job. Well done, Tottenham. Well done. Round of applause for Johan Lang for not panicking. Fantastic job, man. Fantastic.
Oh, just get out of the club, man. Please. Skywalk FC says, hilarious. The owners were banking on all the injured players coming back to save our season, and none of them will be fit until next season.
We haven't heard about Bentancur, have we? He was supposed to be back this weekend, or around this time, and we haven't heard a thing about him.
At the end of January, when Johan Lang did that thing, he was like, yeah, we've got this unbelievable amount of injuries, but the good thing about injured players, they all return.
And none of them have. In fact, all we have is got more injuries. That's all that's happened.
Emerson says, we either got the worst luck of all time. Oh, of all time. I'm too old for this shit, man. Of all time, or the worst medical team. I think we got a bit of both, to be honest.
Yeah, it's hard to know what the reality is, but we constantly have problems with the medical team. We constantly have these. There's a pattern of misdiagnosing the length of time that injuries are going to take, always worse than first feared. And for the last 2 years, there's definitely been a massive pattern of major injuries and large amount of injuries. So, I mean, you have to, at some point, there's got to be something we're doing wrong. You surely have to, you can't just put this all down to luck.
Yeah, absolutely. ONTHFC says, honestly, if the medical team were all given life sentences, I would be the happiest man.
Just life sentences away from the club.
I'm not sure that's what he meant.
I know it's not what he meant, but God.
Yeah, and it always harks back up to this meme as well. Jose Mourinho in the Amazon documentary. We're fucked. That's what De Zerbi's like on the training pitch right now.
I just remember Mourinho when he goes up to, was it Sacramento, and he's just like, out for the season, mate.
Was this with Kane?
I think it was Kane. Like, no, I think actually this was it Kane or Son?
I think it was Kane.
Maybe it was Kane. Because Son as well, we got the double whammy, Son with his arm. And he was like, out for the season. God.
Scott says, welcome to the championship. He was our only game-changing player.
Yeah, I think he was the player that we thought realistically could come back and realistically could really give us a bit of a boost in the short term. I think when it comes to Maddison, Decky, and even Bentancur, first of all, Bentancur is more like, okay, he can come back, but how much of a difference is he actually going to make? And when it comes to Decky and Maddison, it's like, yeah, they could come back, but how good are they going to be? How much you rely on them? Kudus is the one where, like, we know he can make the difference if he comes back, and we know he could come back in, I know it's a bad injury, but he could come back and make an instant impact straight away. And now he's not going to be able to.
Look, the thing is, right, we all look at what we've seen so far this season and how the players have been under a Frank system, under a Igor Tudor system, and it's easy to say, we're just going to be saying, but it's up to De Zerbi to get these players' confidence levels up, to get them performing on the pitch, and even without Kudus, it doesn't mean we can't win games.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I completely agree with that. It's just like Kudus would have been.
It's obviously it'd be a major boost for us, and it would be a major plus for us if Kudus was back. But just because Kudus isn't back, I'm not resigned to relegation.
No. I think all the reasons to be positive about De Zerbi is still there, even with or without Kudus returning. It's like Kudus returning and De Zerbi coming in. It looked like it was going to be two great things coming at once, and that was going to probably propel us to safety. And now we're not going to get the Kudus thing, but let's hope De Zerbi can still count.
Luca THFC saying we had one proper winger by the end of January, and those dipshits decided that we should sign Conor Gallagher.
Maybe they thought he was a winger because he keep playing him out wide. Terrible there.
God. SP1 THFC saying, okay, that Kudus injury has changed everything. Now we just pray.
That's all we got left, just prayers.
Mr. Black, injured in January and won't play for us until August. 8 months out. That's nuts.
It's just crazy the amount of times that happens. 8 months. And yeah, they're saying he could miss the World Cup, as you say, which would be a massive blow for him. I'd be gutted for him if he has to miss the World Cup off the back of what's happened here. But yeah, I mean, that's 8 months out. That'll be double the amount of time the original injury was supposed to be. 3 months. It's crazy.
This next one is one of the reasons Tottenham isn't taken seriously, even by its own players who often prefer to seek treatment elsewhere, is that the club doesn't clean house across the entire medical department in all its roles. The number of injuries and recovery processes is absurd. It's true, we have heard about a number of players seeking kind of medical advice outside of Tottenham.
Romero, Richarlison.
And it's like this multi-billion pound institution. You've got the best stadium, the best facilities, literally in the world, and you've got players seeking outsourced medical advice. It's just like nuts.
And we have heard from people in around the club who say no one trusts our medical team.
Yeah.
No one like everyone always gets a second opinion. Everyone always uses external stuff for recovery and stuff like that because no one trusts it. We know Romero, when he came back from injury, he thanked the Argentinian medical team, but he didn't thank the Spurs one, didn't he?
Yeah.
So to consider, there's clearly no one trusts it, which is mental. It's a mental situation where we spend billions and billions of pounds on whatever, this club, and we can't have a competent medical team. It's nonsense that can deal with everything the players need. They can't. They should have everything.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they?
Brian Daigle, Spurs medical team don't need sacking. They need their licenses revoked and a Netflix documentary made about them.
Would you watch that Netflix documentary?
Yeah,
All or nothing medical team?
I would, with pure hate.
Be like ER, like a medical drama.
Invert the wing. What's he saying? He says, I know I say this every time, but it's just getting ridiculous. Maddison, Kulusevski, Dragoshin, Odebear, Kudus, in the past year alone, have faced injuries that will keep them out for a period of 6+ months. Absolutely not a single other club in the world has had to deal with players going missing for so long. 2 of them due to medical team negligence. Maybe more.
Which 2 would you say? What, Kudus and maybe what, Kulusevski?
Well, I mean, Kulusevski, he got that injury and they made him run it off.
Yeah, so I guess that one maybe. Could you say Maddison? Because he came back from an injury, and his first game back, he did his ACL, didn't he?
Yeah, it's hard to put that. I think ACLs...
well, if he came back too soon, who knows? I mean, obviously it's hard, but he had a certain injury, didn't he? In his first game back, he did his ACL. So did he come back too soon? Who knows?
It's hard to say, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's madness when you look at that. Has anyone in the league had that amount of 6 month plus injuries in the last year?
No.
Surely not.
No.
Surely we're the only club with that.
Definitely not. And the last one from ONTHFC saying Kudus set to be out for 6+ months over a hamstring injury. Solanke was out for 6 months with an ankle issue that was only supposed to be a couple of weeks. Kulusevski had a very unique and unfortunate patella injury 11 months ago, and we still have zero idea of when he's going to return. It was originally viewed as a knock. He hoped to be back for Sweden's international games last September, 7 to 8 months ago. All this was as well as the fact that it's been the third season in a row we've had 10 plus players out at one time, the most in any Premier League club. As its peak, we've had 14 injured players at once. Despite alleged medical team revamps, nothing has changed. This is not normal. In fact, it's borderline criminal. Every single member of the medical team should be sacked. It's not coincidence. It's not a freak accident. They're very clearly terrible at their job. Either way, they make every small injury worse and agitate it tenfold, or we just get a plethora of big injuries, which they almost always misdiagnose.
Yep. I mean, I think it's that's the thing. It can't all be. But the thing is, you can blame the current medical team, but then what was it? The last medical team's fault for last season. Is this the medical team fault for this season? But there seems to be a through line of what's happening. If there's no connection, why does the same thing keep happening?
Yeah.
If there's no connection between medical teams, that's what I don't understand with the whole situation. But how can I blame? And I mean, I could blame the hierarchy, unless we're saying they're not hiring the best people to deal with the medical situation. But why wouldn't they? Why would they skimp out on medical staff? I understand, the answer to that question, to save money, but it makes no sense to not, like, they've got the best training facilities, yet they wouldn't have the best medical staff. Maybe they don't, and I've got no idea. I've got no idea how good these people are. But all we know is the players don't trust them. They seem to misdiagnose lengths of injuries all the time, and we seem to have a massive amount of injuries all the time. So what the problem is there, it's hard to really know looking on the outside, but there is a problem clearly that needs rectifying, and how the hell do we go about rectifying that?
Yeah. It's hard to know. But right now we know we're in the fucking shit. That's all we know. And it's hard. It's hard to see like how this does get rectified. But it needs a massive look at, and it needs.
But we have been looking
at the top of the top professionals to look at this.
They have been.
You need to bring in the best in class, and Jeff Scott was supposedly one of the best in class. But it's not just him you need to bring in. You need to be bringing him with someone that knows how the manager works and that knows how the way the manager wants to play and everything to that ilk as well. It needs to be a team together. I think when Jeff Scott had all those falling outs with Ange, we didn't have people around the club in the physio department that knew the way Ange likes to play and was used to the way Ange played. So I think that's what the breakdown was there. And then Jeff Scott left, and then it's all just gone from bad to worse. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It's hard to know a way out of this. But all we know is that Kudus is out now, which looks like for the rest of the season. And it's going to be damaging for us. It really will be. Let's get onto a couple of super chats that have come through. Brett Lockheed says, he's members chat member for 61 months, says, our medical team is an absolute farce. Yep.
I disagree.
Jake Coy says, no shaving their head on stream if we win this weekend, boys.
Have a surgery the next morning and we'll need a sleep before it. Shaved head or not, come on you Spurs.
Nah, he already said he's going to shave his head. He can't go back on it now.
You can't go back on your word,
surgery or no surgery, mate.
What's surgery got to do with anything? You can't have surgery with a shaved head?
Yeah, exactly. And he sent in a members chat as well, and he says, if we played a 3-5-2, That would be the emergency situation. Porro and Destiny out wide. Midfield 3 with Javi in behind the front 2. And I think that's the way I would go as well.
Yeah, I think if you're playing a 3-5-2, I don't know if you can... Well, 1 minute. But what are you saying? Out wide midfield 3 with Javi behind the front 2. That's a 3-4-3. That doesn't work.
No, 3-5-2.
Yeah, but you can't have Javi behind the front 2 with a midfield 3.
Yeah, Javi's part of the midfield 3.
Right. I don't know. I feel like if you're playing a 3-5-2, you kind of need 3 workhorses in that middle. I don't know if it works in the number 10. I've never really seen it too much.
De Zerbi will make it work.
Yeah, true.
And Hate Me Frisbee says, not sure why you're panicking. We can just play Gallagher out on the right wing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, easy solution. Just play Gallagher there.
Yeah, fantastic.
Maybe why not play Gray there? Why not? You can do everything else.
Wouldn't be against it. Gray, jack of all trades, mate. Swiss Army knife, Archie Gray.
Exactly. Get Gray out wide. Yeah.
But look, that's that. That's the breaking news for you today, guys. Really, really frustrating. Mohammed Kudus out for the rest of the season, it looks like. Any other breaking news we'll bring to you as and when that does break. But as of now, that is it from us today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.